Welcome back. Sorry it's been a couple of weeks since we've posted a video. We've had a lot of things going on with just work and baseball season starting. I'm sure a lot of you have experienced a lot of this as well. Tonight, I just want to take a little while to explain, or rather tell some stories of some things that have happened here lately. We always talk about we've never, a lot of us have never seen God show up. I want to tell you a couple of things recently, and some of you have read the post about a couple of these, but this is something that just keeps happening. So this is really cool, and I want to show it to you and kind of explain it to you. I might even walk outside in here in a minute, kind of show you some of these vehicles. You guys have seen I posted about a truck a while back. This will make the fourth time that I have gone to purchase a vehicle where God has shown up and God has worked, and it's just been a huge, huge, huge thing for us. It's been pretty amazing, pretty unexplainable. Just one of those things that just kind of happens, and it's pretty daggone cool. So, start way back when I first started my business. We jumped out kind of on a limb, literally. I started a tree service. I was unhappy in a job. I was working for somebody at that point in time that I just probably shouldn't have been working for. And I spent about 2 years working with this guy and kind of worked myself up into a level where I still was not comfortable running a business by myself, but I was at a point where I could handle it. I could handle the work side of it, but I didn't know a whole lot about like the bidding and estimating side. So we just kind of decided one day it was a better fit for us, and we prayed about it and discussed it, and we jumped out and started Andrew Ellis Tree and Landscape. If you guys haven't heard of us now, we're getting reasonably big. We're competing with some of these bigger companies like Eastern and Allen's and National. We're getting to the point now where we're getting to be a large competitor in the Pinson Clay Trustful area. We're even bidding jobs out as far as River Chase, Pelham, Helena, all the way out, Locust Fork, Pell City. So we're actually kind of growing and growing and growing. We have several employees working for us full time now, which is, that's only been about the past 2 years. But God has been providing vehicles for this business since it started. The very first one was when I had a 2010 Chevrolet pickup truck, and I totaled it. So at that point in time, I had a gap in the payment, so I just wasn't able to get a vehicle. So we went to Sarah Chevrolet trying to weasel our way into another just ginormous payment. And throughout the course of sitting there, the guy that was working there, he said, you know what? He said, I've got this truck out back that you probably won't even want. And we went out back and looked at it, and this was a 1994 Chevrolet K1500, a little four-wheel drive Chevy pickup. It was a pile. It was ugly. It had a decent motor and decent transmission in it. Needed tires. The inside of it was a disaster. But I walked away from the truck, and several hours later, I just felt, let's do this and let's see what'll happen. I did not expect the truck to last even 6, 8 months. I was going to use it just kind of as a way to get myself into something better. So we bought the truck. I bought it on a payment plan just to kind of give the business, and this was the business's first major purchase. 4 years later, after that truck has been worked and had been just, brutalized, the things we do to trucks is impressive. We beat them to death. So I took this truck and I ended up putting a new motor and finally had to do some transmission work on it. And over the course of time, I was actually able to resell that truck at the end of it to someone on this group, to someone that really needed a vehicle, and we were able to turn around and give them a great vehicle for a reasonable price and get them into something new. So God blessed us with that. And like I said, at the time there was no other way I was going to be able to get a vehicle, and that was one of the last vehicles that was at Sarah Mazda on Highway 11, and that was the like one of the last vehicles they ever did an in-house financing on. So God kind of he kind of led us into that, and like again, it's something that I just kind of rolled my eyes and walked away from. And I'll tell you this: the vehicle was kind of a crimson red. I tell everybody these trucks are blood red, and as the story goes, it'll make more sense. So we've been working this business for a while. At this point, I still have the 94, and we're working this business for a while. God provided a pretty good string of jobs But throughout the course of this, there was a lady that had a camper that wanted to trade her camper for a tree that we were cutting down. So we went and cut this tree down, and I traded for this little pickup or a pop-up camper, and we brought this camper home. So we brought it home, and I was popping it out and looking, cleaning it up and doing all sorts of things with it. And I told my wife, I said, I don't need to use this thing. Let me just post it on there and see if I can sell it or trade it. Throughout the course of that, it turns out there was a family that was having some issues because they were spending too much time away from each other. And they were looking for a pop-up camper in order for them to be able to, because the husband traveled for work. So they were looking for a pop-up camper for them to be able to stay together on these campsites where he worked so they could spend more time as a family together. These people are still together. So I ended up trading them the pop-up camper for a 97 Toyota 4Runner, which we were in desperate and dire need of because at this point in time I'm driving this 94 Chevy pickup, this huge V8 in it. So we were doing baseball with the kids. So throughout the course of this baseball season, I drove this 97 4Runner, and we drove it all over creation. So once again, God provides a vehicle. Fits our needs, fits them perfect. I did some estimating in it, but it was just the right place at the right time. Once again, a vehicle that just came out of nowhere for us, and it really worked out and was exactly what we needed. Not something we were seeking, not something we were looking for. Later on, I start to get the need because the business is growing, and I told my wife, I said, I think we really need another truck. We're getting to the point where I've got multiple employees, and we're having to share this vehicle, and I'm getting too many jobs to keep up with this with just the one truck. So I decided I'm going to go out and start looking for a new truck. And I've been looking and looking and looking, and the whole time I'm thinking I can sell this 4Runner and get another vehicle, but I just can't find anything in that price range. This is about $3,000, $3,500 vehicle, so I'm hunting and looking and hunting and looking. I'm looking for a newer Chevrolet, just like the one I've got. So one day a buddy of mine calls me and says, hey man, come down to this job. It's out in Mountain Brook. And I go out to this job and do some work for him. And I just happened to notice on the outside of it, he's driving a truck I've never seen before. And I asked him, I said, hey man, where'd you get this vehicle? He said, oh man, that's just my old work truck. Something I drive to work every day. And I said, well, how much do you want for it? And he just kind of laughed and he said, well, I guess it could be for sale if it needed to be. And so we go back and forth haggling about this price and kind of trying to work things out. And I told him, I said, let me make some phone calls and see what I can do. So I go home and post a 4Runner for sale. The 4Runner, the price we had worked out, I'm being very candid about this. I know a lot of people don't like to talk about their purchases, but I posted a 4Runner for sale for $3,500. I had already agreed to purchase this pickup truck from this guy, and this is a 99 Chevy 1500, or another four-wheel drive 1500, one I'm actually still driving. And these people call, and she said, my son really needs a car. He's really looking for his first car. She said, I'll give you $3,300 for this 4Runner, which is the exact amount that I needed to purchase this Chevrolet. So I come home just kind of laughing about it. I sell the 4Runner, buy the Chevrolet. Once again, God provides. We've been working out of that truck for quite a while, and the same thing comes up. Time to get something big. Time to get something bigger. At this point in time, God had provided a whole bunch of work for us, and I had managed to save up about $2,500. Well, I got to looking online, and I find this 1989 dually, Chevy dually. It's got a monster motor in it. But the guy was asking, I want to say it was like $4,250 for this truck. So I call this gentleman they're out towards Argo, and I kind of get to, speaking with him. We ride out there and look at the truck, and I finally call this guy, and I tell him, I said, man, I just want to tell you, I don't have enough money for your truck. I've got about $2,500 cash. I really need it for my business. And he says, well, what do you do for a living? Well, I kind of explained it to him and went through it, and he said, you know what? He said, you're working hard, and I feel like it's right to sell you this truck. So if you've got $2,500 cash on you, give it to me and you can have the truck. So that's how our dually came about, one that we're also still running. Of course, we've had to fix things on these vehicles. They're older trucks, but once again, God provides. Now, I'll tell you again, all three of these trucks are almost the same color, blood red. So we again, we keep on going further and further. I told you I sold the 94, so the 94 started having a handful of issues, and I had to put a motor in it. And I did a lot of work fixing. I actually got ripped off on the motor deal, but I finally just got to the point where the truck is just, it's just not, like, the back end of it was kind of worn out. It's okay for somebody to drive around and go to work in, but as far as working and pulling trees and putting a load in the back of it, the truck's pretty much not ready for that anymore without doing some pretty significant work to it. So I decided to sell that truck and go buy another. And again, I sold that truck in about 30 minutes to the family that needed it, because, like I said, God already knew what was going on, and He already knew beforehand. He had this all figured out. I swear He has it planned out like years in advance. I mean, obviously God is omnipotent, so He knows everything that's going on. But anyway, I got provided. This is probably my favorite story of all these pickup truck stories. But I go out to this guy. He posted this vehicle for sale, and it's out there in it's in Horton, which is out kind of towards Boaz. And I ride all the way out there, or rather, first the guy came to us, and we looked the truck over. My dad and I spent about an hour driving the truck, looking all over it, and we decided it's a pretty pretty good deal, reasonable price, and decided to go ahead and purchase the vehicle. But the guy was waiting to have. He wanted to do a few more things to it, just a handful of seller items where we had to go and fix a window and fix like one of the brake lights or something, just minor things. So I agreed to meet him out in Horton at his shop. So we drive, it's about an hour and 20 minutes away. So we drive all the way out there to meet this guy, and we spend the whole day, and he also was kind enough to put the tires on it for me. I purchased a set of tires for it. But we go to putting all the tires on this vehicle, and we spend a whole lot more time looking at it, and I still haven't paid for this truck. And so we're walking around and looking at it, and I'm praying about it. We've been talking about praying with your eyes open and walking around and being able to have an open conversation with God. So the whole time we're working on this truck, I'm just kind of praying to myself silently, and, God, if this is wrong, if there's something wrong with this truck, if I don't need to do this, don't let me do this. Don't let me make this, $2,500 mistake. So I'm looking for this vehicle, and looking through this vehicle and going through all these things. And finally I just decided, I said, I guess God's just not answering me. And I still feel like this vehicle is a good deal. I still feel like it's worthy of the money He's asking for it. So finally I pull out the money and pay this man. Immediately after I pay this guy, he turns around and asks me, "Do you want me to take that off?" And I turn around and say, what are you talking about? So I whip around and go look for this, whatever this issue is he want me to take off. And he's talking about there's a license plate on the front of the vehicle. Some of you might have seen it in a previous post. And I turn around and look at this license plate, and the license plate says right on the front of it, it says Jesus. What does it say? Well, I can't even remember what it says now. I'll take it out there and show it to you. But it has like a Christian saying on the front of it, and so I just die laughing, and I just start cracking up, and the tag of course is still on the vehicle, but I just start laughing about it because I hadn't noticed it the whole time we looked at it, and I called my dad and I took a picture of it, and I just kind of snapshotted it and I sent it to my dad. I asked him, I said, have you seen this tag on this truck? We looked at it forever, and we were underneath the car, under the hood, looking at the motor. And Dad said, no, I never noticed it, never saw it. And anyway, I kind of started laughing about it, and I told myself, I said, man, what an opportunity to witness to this guy. And I decided I'll go ahead and use this as an excuse to talk to this man, and to kind of just use it as an icebreaker, rather. So the first thing I asked him, I said, "Are you a believer?" And he says, "Oh yeah." A pretty common response, especially around Alabama. Pretty much everybody will tell you, whether they are or they aren't, they'll tell you, "Yes, I go to church. Yes, I believe in God." But he turns around and flips it right back on me, and he tells me that the truck came from a guy that had diabetes and lost his leg. So they took his leg off, and this is a stick shift truck. They took his leg off, and through the course of this guy trying to drive this vehicle, he had messed the clutch up. So this old guy had parked it, and didn't think that he'd be able to sell it or fix it due to his leg. He didn't have the money for these medical bills. But anyway, he decided that he wasn't going to be able to do anything with the truck, so he parked it. Well, the guy that I bought the truck from just happened to be riding by and saw the vehicle sitting out there. And he pulled in and stopped and told the guy, hey, I'll give you X amount for the truck. And the guy was just, the diabetic guy was just blown away and gave him the whole story. And so he'd already gotten one blessing story out of it. Then I go up there and I get blessed by buying the truck, and I just start laughing at the license plate. And then the guy that has the vehicle tells me that he is in dire need of $2,500 to keep his farm and his shop and his property. So God blesses 3 people in the sale of 1 vehicle. That's pretty powerful. That's pretty amazing. I can't believe I don't remember what the tag says. But anyway, it's bothering me really bad. So I'm going to have to take you out there and show it to you. But something, Jesus is my friend or something, I'll have to look at it. But anyway, Jesus blesses 3 people with the purchase of this truck, and it's all been connected now to the point we all know about, so we're all laughing about it. And we take this truck home, and anyway, I've had it here for about 2 months, and I'm starting to have some issues with my 99, the red truck that I told you I was already blessed with. So I'm starting to have a concern with it, and I decide I'll go ahead and go buy another vehicle as of last night. And I walked right past another vehicle at the same Sarah place and go ahead and decide that there's another vehicle sitting outside. God blesses me with another blood red truck, making 5 total. If that doesn't get you on fire, I don't know what will. So if you don't think God works, give me a call and we'll talk about it. I'll show you and I'll prove it to you.